Bonjour à tous.
Hello everyone.
On est sur la dernière session de la journée.
This is the last session of the day. We were slightly ahead of time for the last roundtable, so we thought we could dive right into it, and then we'll have a little bit of time to discuss all of this content outside of the room. Last session of the day with Adrien Seugé, CDMO at L'Oréal France. We are going to be talking about data collaboration, but also how to improve beauty experience for consumers and L'Oréal clients, then thanks to data collaboration. First and foremost, Adrien, thank you very much for being with us. If you don't mind, would you mind introducing yourself? Tell us where you're coming from and what you're working on. Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Hello, I'm delighted to be with you today, and thank you for inviting me. Thank you to LiveRamp.
4-5 ans à peu près
pour Numberly, un peu moins avec the Numberly team. Thank you. I know that LiveRamp, you're newer in the sector, but it's really nice to be able to talk about our experience and what can be done at L'Oréal. I joined L'Oréal 2 years ago, after 20 years at Adidas, including 10 years abroad in China and in the US. Countries where you have different GDPR elements, but that were a source of inspiration in terms of customers' experience and in the capacity to generate incremental value by using data from customers. When I started working with L'Oréal, the fact that they partner up with LiveRamp and Numberly was a great way to seize opportunities and to go further in use cases on how to reach out to consumers. So we talked about data collaboration in many ways, in many definitions of data collaboration. How would you define data collaboration, Adrien, if you take the vantage point of L'Oréal?
Our starting point when working together is that you have to be two partners. So that's where we come from, and we can see that there is a lot of potential with technology to work together for collaborations using anonymous data, complying with GDPR rules. We monitor this very closely at L'Oréal. We have trusted third parties that can help us have this type of partnerships. And this is something that has been working really well. So to have a partnership, you need to be two entities, and you need trust, and you need to have a third party that you can trust for this relationship to work, for example, with a legal contract, of course. It's really important. And then incremental value. We are lucky enough to have a significant footprint on the market, and therefore we can collaborate with many different partners from retail, but also from a media perspective, because we spend a lot on media on the French market, and also with our consumers. Collaboration, therefore, can happen with retailers, and we're going to talk about that. I believe that the market really developed thanks to that, thanks to other parties, and also thanks to our publishing partners and media partners. And I think we can do more on that. And we can even combine the two, retailer and media. And then we can really generate incremental value. And in that case, it's a three-partner collaboration. Through LiveRamp, we can build bridges with other brands, other media that are great, and we can all achieve incremental value for all of us. And it's very interesting, very positive. So we have to look for incremental value and use cases that we can't do by ourselves. That's my starting point. What can I do with my partners in order to be smarter, stronger, and so that they can also get something out of it, be smarter and stronger? on their end too. That's the first thing. Secondly, it's really important at L'Oréal too. I'm lucky because I work with many brands from L'Oréal, 4 divisions, 4 departments in France, and therefore we also need to collaborate internally. We need governance, we need trust. We need to make sure that all brands collaborate. So working together internally has to be achieved, and then we can focus on external collaboration. And when you combine both, it's incredible in terms of incremental value. Why is it key at L'Oréal to work together, to collaborate, to have access to internal sources or external sources? What is at stake? If we look at our positioning, we represent 1/4 of the French market, so a significant share of the market. And we work on 4 different segments on the market, several retailing segments. So mass market, for example, with L'Oréal Paris, Garnier, brands like that, legacy brands, Cadon, Mixa as well, a French brand. So we have this mass market. Then second segment, luxury, perfumes, Lancôme, Yves Saint Laurent. Third segment, pharmacies, which is growing significantly, especially thanks to brands like La Roche-Posay, Vichy, and increasing traffic. And finally, hairdressers, and a lot of B2B in that last segment. So we have a significant market share. And what is interesting is that our penetration is different on each of these markets. We have a high penetration on mass markets, so many customers. Second segment, or dermatological segments, our penetration is lower. 97% of French people are part of the mass market, and it has been so for 18 years. And 80% of French people buy beauty products, and we have a significant market share there. However, in pharmacies, penetration is lower. People go to pharmacies to buy skincare, but not as much. And therefore, our penetration is lower. And it's just like Russian dolls, with perfumes and hairdressers, even though our market shares are significant in France. And we are able to recombine our customers' journeys. And this gives us a strong position on the market. But customers move a lot. For example, sometimes they buy products on the mass market, sometimes they buy products in other segments. So thanks to our positioning on the market, we can better understand these different segments and see how they change to better collaborate. And I forgot to mention collaboration with customers, which is important too. Data can't lie. So if your use cases don't work, customers are not going to be interested, it's not going to work, so it forces you to do better. So we can take advantage of our good positioning on the market in order to better target and activate segments. Perfect, thank you very much. You mentioned use cases and innovative partners beyond retailers. Could you give us an example of partners that you work with or that you would like to work with? Partners that are different from retailing partners, usual retailing partners. For example, we work with Carrefour. We work with them on this approach, and I think it's a win-win partnership. We are able to develop beauty product penetration in Carrefour in an interesting way. And what is important is to collaborate, because Carrefour benefits from it thanks to this partnership, because there is more beauty products will be bought at Carrefour, and on our end we are able to increase our market shares in Carrefour. So it's a win-win situation. And we are also considering working with media partners as well for this customer journey, so that we can work on purchasing journeys and contextual journeys. We have also realized that when we look at our 1P data, it's quite good. And we see that there is a lot of potential here. And if we start to mix first-party data and second-party data, we can also grow. I think there is still much to do with our retailers. We have a great partnership with Carrefour at the moment, and I think it's a win-win partnership, but I believe we can keep going. We can go further, having media partnerships, for example, to get more contextual data. And we also work with Kantar. We know customers very well, and with Kantar we know targets better. How do customers interact with our brands depending on the targets? So we have started onboarding 3 customer targets, and we've been tracking them as well. So we've onboarded these targets. And for example, we have the digital beauty junkie, so a person who buys a lot of beauty products, and we're already starting to see that profile in our results. And media partners is the next step, and also panelists. Via Kantar we can also work on that. You mentioned data collaboration internally, so uniting the customer's vision throughout all L'Oréal brands, and also collaboration with external partners. How do you succeed? How do you make sure that everything is going to be successful from a technical point of view, from the staff point of view, governance, customers also who navigate between different departments? So how can you make sure that it's the right brand targeting the right customer? Well, it's a journey. We learn as we move forward, and I think it's the same for everyone. We're all on the same boat. We are going to do our best so that it works. I believe that our first results with our retailers are very good. We saw that with several use cases, so we are hopeful. And I believe that first we have to work very closely with legal teams. We worked with an internal team, so the executive committee with CRL teams that are here, the data teams, the media teams, and the consumer marketing side teams. And I'm lucky enough to have all of these departments with me. And we also have care and e-commerce as part of my teams, but they have a support role at the moment. But with these 4 departments, CRM, data, CRM, consumer marketing and media, all of these departments are the backbone of our knowledge, our customer knowledge, in order to succeed. So you really need to have a close-knit team. And I believe my teams do great work, so thank you. And you also need to expand the team and include the legal team. For example, to know which type of consent you need to have in place, how to work with you, how to work with our partners, our retailer and media partners, what type of contracts do we need, and it takes time. So we need to be very thorough in our work on that. And it's absolutely essential. And thirdly, we also need to work on phishing rules. So, for example, how to exclude certain consumers. And if we want the rules to work, they need to be extremely clear internally. They need to be easy to apply with tools, so that you're not going to give yourself a headache. And that's the strategy you have to have. You have to be humble. You have to learn as you go. You have to start with a simple partnership probably more simple than the kind of ideas that we have at first to make sure that it all works. And therefore, we worked on governance rules internally between departments, because at L'Oréal we have different departments, as I said, but you also have different categories, so hair, makeup, skin, perfume. So you need to create a matrix, and you need to have good rules in place, good governance and phishing rules in place, and there is tech as well. A good partnership with our agencies, with tech, the tech world, because many companies in the tech world are covering these topics, so it's important to have the right partners to receive the right support. It's a key topic. And then use cases. Gradually, you're going to have internal use cases that work, and you can then share them with other brands so that you can go bigger. I don't know if you can answer this question, but when you say bidding use cases, do you mean that you're going to bring more knowledge to L'Oréal globally? Or what about first-party data? Well, in France we're doing a lot, but the US as well, in many different ways. But in Europe, it's true that we went really fast. We made fast progress, so our use cases can be used by other entities. For the moment, our use cases can be shared at an incremental ROS level. So we have certain targets that we kept for 12 months so that we could really see the incremental part. And we are also starting to work on personal promotions, customized promotions rather, to see if a customer is loyal or not, or we're going to offer different promotions to customers who haven't bought any products from a given category, for example, so customized approaches. And we can also have partnerships with publishers, with the media, to look at the content, at more subjective aspects, which is going to bring more life to the data, to look at different aspects and the impact of different types of content. So use cases that we are going to start to use are very interesting. We can also do geo-targeting, targeting certain shops, and we would like to work with other partners. We have our dream use cases, for example, pharmacies, hairdressers. So endless ideas, and that's how we will keep going forward. About the retail media part specifically, you mentioned changes that have to take place internally. What about the relationship with retailers? This new dynamic, this new relationship, how can you make sure that your internal teams are going to grow in a way that's going to be good for the partnerships with the retailers? Well, when it comes to retailers, we work with mass retailers such as Carrefour, Intermarché, Carrefour Infinity. They are main partners. And we also created a team working on mass markets, also receiving the support of our media team. And I think it's important to have a team at the center, to have governance, to apply use cases, to share best learning, to share tips. This was our first year, and now we're already in the second year and preparing for the third year. And so now we're going to work on a plan per category for 2024, and in these plans we will have a part of the budget dedicated to audience on shelves, and also what to do with retailer data, which audiences we want to have, and therefore we're going to work on that throughout the year to have various use cases. So first, a centralized team is essential in order to consolidate all use cases They're going to be the person, the team governing how to use the data. Secondly, having category plans with the marketing teams in advance to have dedicated budget so that you can include that early on in the process, in the media plan. And thirdly, you need to communicate constantly on the use cases, on the learning that you do. But it has to take place in the long term. Incremental value is assessed over 12 months. There are products, for example, such as hair dyeing products. You have to wait for 6 months, 9 months. So just take the time to look at the results, to get the results, and then you can speed up. So you need to prepare yourselves for when it's going to accelerate. When it comes to your partnership with Carrefour, you mentioned typologies of use cases. Can you share an example maybe? And what did you learn from it? What do you expect from the next use case in terms of impact and key KPIs? We had a really good use case for face care. Over 12 campaigns on face care in 2022, and we saw that there's a real incremental impact. So for face care in Carrefour, and the incrementality achieved through data is significant. So people who are exposed to face care campaigns, we can see that there's a significant incremental value. And compared with previous years, we can see that it's really interesting data. And second question, comparing people who have been exposed or not, what's interesting is to also think about the different displays. But I think the next step will be about customized promotions. We know the laws that are in place at the moment, and we could have an even more targeted impact on customers, on sales. I think customized promotions are going to be important in the future. So you're probably going to work with trade teams, retailers, media teams, so many changes to come. Thank you very much, Adrien. Perhaps you could tell us more about retail media and data collaboration. You could tell us your vision for the next 12 months or even after that. What do you think will be the main challenges? You said that we have to think in the long term. What do you think about the future of the ecosystem from a L'Oréal perspective? Well, many things are happening, which is good. It means that this topic is interesting for many people, and the more we think about it, the more we'll get an incremental value. At L'Oréal, we believe that tech has a positive impact in general on the world, on the environment, and what we want is to build a beauty industry that will be more diverse and more sustainable. That's how we can develop our relationship with customers as well. Through collaboration, we can get more experience with our brands, with the beauty industry in a more diverse way, more customized way. We can better meet the expectations of our customers, something that we couldn't do with only our own data. And if I think about the future, I want collaboration to provide a beauty experience that is going to be more customized, more diverse to our customers, more than it is today. And I think we can do more on that. We can invest more. We were at Vivatech today. It was a great event. We saw a lot of innovation relying on tech. For example, scanning your scalp so that you can get specific recommendations, product recommendations, or makeup as well for people with disabilities. Or, for example, tracking our media campaign for carbon pollution. So a lot that has to do with data. Data need to improve customer experience in a positive way. And I think we need to do more on that so that our collaboration will have a positive impact, not only on ORS, but also on the market in general. Nicolas said this morning that we don't do tech just for the sake of it, but to improve our consumers' experience. So thank you very much, Adrien. I think we still have a few minutes. Any questions, maybe? Thank you. Good afternoon. I have a question for Adrien. So, year 1, year 2, data collaboration in retail media. In terms of investment, year 3, what can you say? What about the indicators? Well, there are different concepts that are at play. First, I would rather focus on budget using data that we already know. So first-party, second-party data. So we know that there is growth. We have started to invest in first-party data so that we can better understand it, to have return on investment that are positive, and then investment on second-party data. We've been doing that, investing in tech, and we're really focusing on making that part grow, because we realize that it has a positive impact on sales. So it's all about striking a balance, return on investment and spending, media spending. But we worked on our 2025 plan and we still want to make that part grow. We are also interested in how to design our plans, so to enrich our data with a second party maybe, and then even more. So gradually we want to look at different audiences and we will plan our budget accordingly. But to answer your question, we are going to continue to increase that qualified data part in our media budget.
Pas d'autres questions?
No more questions?
Extrêmement clair.
It was all so clear.
Okay, bien dans ce cas, merci beaucoup.
Well, thank you very much.
Merci, Adrien.
Thank you, Adrien.
Bien. Un immense merci.
Thank you so much, Adrien. I think it was the perfect conclusion. I just wanted to go back to a few of the insights that we got today, new ideas that are going to give us food for thought. So first, the Olympics. How can we manage so much data at the same time? Often you need geo-tracking data, and this takes us back to the travel panel discussion. Anonymous data are really useful, actually. You don't need a perfect match for each data to have a positive impact on the consumer. That's another lesson to learn from this. Many of you said that it's a key challenge. We have to remember to collaborate with our own consumers, and internal collaboration as well. Diversity also. Diverse data sets, 1P is crucial. CRM data, we need to organize it in an efficient way, cross-brand as well, we mentioned that. And then another new idea, Coca-Cola, Bouygues, Snap, that showed us how we can collaborate with many different partners at the same time. We know that it's going to be crucial for data collaboration and so many other things. I think the main lesson I'm going to learn from that is that there are beautiful use cases in one-to-one collaboration as a starting point, but the most beautiful cases that will help you achieve all of your activation, insight and measure use cases, they're going to involve more partners. And for example, as we saw with what Adrien said, with his use cases, that's what I take away from this. And retail media, we talk about it all the time, but data collaboration has been around for longer. It started internally, and now we are finally moving on to external partnerships. And everything that has been said today is a proof of that. And I think we're going to keep talking about that for many years. And lastly, as I said to some of you during the break, unlike what we can see with other topics, with other stages in the digital history, here we're not talking about a change that's only relevant to some of us. Here it's something that's important for all of us separately, but that's also important for all the potential interactions between us, between you. And I think there is something that we're very proud of. We had people from the travel industry, from the consumption industry, from media platforms, from telco as well, and there were so many of you today. Well, good luck on your partnerships, on future collaboration. I think it's just the beginning of these data collaboration summits, and we have a few announcements to make. Very briefly, with LiveRamp, we launched a certificate, a retail media certificate. We will have another session soon, and you're all invited on the 4th of July to our offices to talk about sport and data. Some of the speakers are already in the room, they're getting ready, a lot of pressure, and we will have amazing people and even athletes preparing for the Olympics. So please let us know if you would like to come. It will be fantastic, and we will also mention other use cases, and you can scan this QR code to learn more. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to the team. It was such a pleasure to be here. We have been partners for several years, and it's not the end. Thank you very much.